Hello everybody, my name is Xspenceif and welcome to episode 2 of The Facility. Today we're going to be talking about comparators, or as I like to call them, not repeaters, the other ones. Okay, everyone get your tickets and follow me. Do you have your tickets? Awesome, let's begin. Comparators. In this room we're going to discuss what are comparators, what do they do, and how can you use them. Well, their basic function is they extend a signal. They take an input and they put it out. That's the very basic function of a comparator is, well, it's like a repeater, except we'll get to that. It measures block power, so we can do it like this. It can take a power from a non-power source, say like the lever is a power source, a hopper isn't a power source. So it measures the power of the block within the block, and it will send that power out. And it can even take that power level through another block. So say you needed to power something and there was a block in the way, you could still take that power level through a block. How does it determine block power level? So if we go like this, we put in a single hole. It's a power level of 3. If we put in 5 hose, it goes up to a power level of 15. So when that container is full, it becomes a power level of 15, and then the more you take out, the less powerful it is. Okay, you with me still? Let's have a look at compare mode. Compare mode is when you have a power going into the side of the comparator. It will not send power out the front unless the power going into the rear of the comparator is equal or more than the power going into the side. This is really handy for if you want a certain amount of items to go into the hopper before you power whatever it is you want to power, or the chest or whatever. It's a really good function of the comparator. Okay, another good function of the comparator is the pulse extender. So what's happening here is you're sending a signal into this comparator. It then drops by 2 signal strength, goes into this comparator, drops by another 2, and as it circles around and around and around, it gets lower and lower in power, and it extends the pulse of the button. Essentially, that's what it is. Really handy little device that you can make with comparators. It's really, really handy. Okay, we're now going into subtract mode. So what subtract mode is like the compare mode, except instead of waiting until the power level is the same as the power level in the side, you are adjusting the side power level and it will subtract the power that's coming out the front. Just like that. So it's got 2, it's to 0. So if we were to put 1 in there, boom, it powers up to there as well. Subtract mode, pretty simple. So the beauty of subtract mode is it allows us to do things like this slow clock here, where we can have a repeated output coming out the front. It turns it off, turns it on, turns it off, turns it on. Okay, so without subtract mode, we wouldn't be able to do things like this here. This comparator is currently in compare mode, and what's happening is it's sent the signal around because the dropper is full and the item hopper is full. So the power going into there is the same as the power going into there, and it's not going to change anything. If we put it in subtract mode, what happens is it will subtract the power going into the back from the power going into the side, and that will subtract 15 from 15, and it will be 0. So this happens. As you can see, it's now spitting out items, and it's just going to go round and round and round. That's really cool. I am going to have to put a lever on that to stop it. The reason why you need to have this in subtract mode is because if your dropper gets full, this clock will stop working completely. So it's kind of like a failsafe. Okay, so another little cool clock that you can make with comparators is the etho hopper clock. So you've all seen this before. This isn't my design, obviously, it's an etho hopper clock, but inside these hoppers is some items, and as the items flow, it will then take a power output, and they will flow from one side to the other until there is no more in one of the hoppers, and as that hopper depowers, so will the comparator, and it will unpower. See, like that. And you can take a power output from the hoppers, you can take a power output from these these blocks here, or you can take a power output from the redstone block. Really, really, really interesting hopper clock, and it's using comparators, which is really cool. Okay, here we have another style of hopper clock that uses a comparator to get the power level output from the hopper. So we'll just put this in here. It uses an observer to observe the power output and puts out a very quick on and off. It doubles the speed, so every on and every off. Dun, dun, dun. It's really cool, and it's if you want to get a quick output, this is a clock for you. Okay, so here's another comparator clock that uses the subtract mode, and it's very, very fast. This is good for, say, if you're using a bone meal dispenser on a farm. This is the kind of clock that you want to use. Also, you can get a daylight clock. So this uses a daylight sensor. It's currently set to day mode. Inside, there's no daylight. So if you set it to night mode, it's going to do the same thing. I'm going to get into daylight sensors a bit later on, but there are multiple power levels that come from a daylight sensor, and I'd like to show that, but I can't do that right now. So we'll set that back to day. Just different types of clocks that you can use that are in subtract mode or compare mode or just normal. And finally, we're going to push this to activate episode 3. I'd really like to thank you guys for stopping on by to episode 2 and joining me on a little journey through the comparator room. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will be happy to answer them, and if I've missed anything, point it out to me, because, you know, there's so much to go through. One more thing, this map will be uploaded to Planet Minecraft. There'll be a link in the description below, and you can come through and have a look at all these different circuits. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.